Welcome to Boost Up with Supligen, where we discuss how to uplift different aspects of your life. I'm your host, Danishka, and today we're discussing everything you need to know for transitioning back to school as a new university student. Before we start today's activities, Supligen has a giveaway that can help you get through the back to school season with a boost. All you have to do is post a picture of your back to school setup with Supligen, tag at SupligenJA, and you must be following SupligenJA. The giveaway winner will be announced on September 30, and you will win a gift basket full of Supligen. Let's get into it. I'd like to start this conversation with introducing our first speaker, Renaldo Ramsay. Renaldo comes from humble beginnings in the hills of St. Elizabeth. He spent his years as a dedicated student where academia is concerned and an active student leader. A proud graduate of Cornell College, Renaldo recently completed a Bachelor's of Basic Medical Sciences Pharmacology at the UWI Mona and is currently pursuing a postgraduate degree in biomedical research. He's a Victoria Mutual F.E.T.E ambassador, a junior research assistant, and showcases his great love for marketing and finance in other capacities. Renaldo's aim to create a perfect balance between his indulgence in the medical field and marketing, all while helping youth to become better managers of their money, time, and ultimately their lives. This makes him perfect to tell all the new university students out there a few tips on budgeting. Hey Renaldo.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Alright, I'm ready to hear your budgeting tips.
Alright, let's get straight into it then. It's really good, let me just say, to be here to speak to university students as they're going through the transitional phase of their lives. I must say it's really good to be here. So first of all, I do want to start with getting some things clear about budgeting first before we get into the tips. So first of all, what is a budget? Now, one of the things you may know, you might have heard in high school when you have to have some of your classes, is that a budget is really you setting up a strategy or a system which allows you to save and allows you to manage your money based on the income that you're getting and also based on your expenditure that you're expecting. So it's important to know what a budget is, because sometimes when you ask persons, what's their budget like, what's a budget, they don't necessarily know exactly what they intend to use a budget for. So another thing I want to clear up is how or what you should include in a budget. Now, again, a budget is you stabilizing your funds, getting better control over your money. So what you can include in a budget would be the sources of your income, of course, whether it is your parents, whether it is a part-time job, whatever source of funding you're getting. And then you would show your expenditure based on your needs, your wants, whether it is your books, whether it is a school fee, whatever the case is, those would be the additional items. And also you need to show how you can balance that and also add some savings in the mix. So, and that is very important, especially as you get to UWI or UTech or any of these universities, which requires of you to know how to manage your money if you want to survive. So those are two aspects of budgeting that we can touch on, and then we can look into when you need to create a budget. Now, a lot of the times we think a budget is going to be something that we don't need to create this year, we need to create it probably next year. I don't have enough money yet, so I don't think I should be budgeting. Or, you might just be here and you're saying, I don't think I need a budget. What do I need a budget for? But I think it's really important for students, especially to know in these situations, that a budget is very important. It's very important that you start now. The timing doesn't matter in terms of which part of the day, when exactly. However, the best case is to have a budget ready on hand and to monitor your funding, because at the end of the day, you will have goals that you want to accomplish. You'll have things that you want to get done. And so it's important for you now to know exactly how you're going to meet those targets while also ensure that your finances are held in proper check. So it's important to know that. And how would a budget benefit you? I just said it. It gives you that ability to manage your finances and also to ensure that you accomplish your financial goals, all while saving so that you can achieve future goals. And it's very important to look at what are your short, medium, and long-term goals. What are the things you want now? What are the things you want today? What are the things you're going to want tomorrow or next week or next month? But also, what are the things you need in the next 5 years, in the next year? You know, you're university students. Some of your degree will be starting at 3 years, or your degree you might take up to 5 years. Now, it's important for you to know what do you want to accomplish while you're at the university, and also after you would have graduated with your degree. And then, you know, you talk about life. Where do you want to end up? At what age do you want to stop working? You know, start thinking about pensions and all that. So there's a lot to think about when it comes down to budgeting. And I think that's probably one of the things that scares a lot of persons. We don't necessarily want to get into that because we feel like it's requiring of us to be too adult or responsible. And so we don't necessarily feel like, you know, we're able to handle that task at the moment. So those are some aspects of budgeting that I hope that our university students will actually look into in terms of understanding the fundamentals of budgeting. And then now we can get into the tips as to how best you can budget as a university student, which probably you're doing that on a low level of income in terms of you might not have a lot of money to be allocating for the different aspects of your life. So I'd start with saying, one, you need to know your needs and your wants. You need to know that a KFC might not be a need on a particular day. A KFC might be a want, and so something that might be a need is you might.
Your Supligen.
Yeah, you might, something. So it depends on the day that you know your needs and your wants vary as time goes by. But you know your basic needs, you know, food, shelter, clothing. However, you need to understand now what are my needs. What do I need to get done versus what I only want to get done. I don't necessarily need to do it today. I might be able to do it tomorrow or next month in terms of what you're spending on. So you need to know your needs and wants. And it's important because a lot of university students end up spending a lot of money on temporary things that they could have spent elsewhere. And at the end of the day, you're like, bad decision there. What do I do now? So it's really important that you understand what are my needs, what are my wants, what do I not need to get done right now. So that's one thing. It's also important for you to understand that getting to university might not necessarily, if you're on campus or whether you're living off campus and you're not at home, it's important to know that not because you're out in, you know, I'm living by myself, it doesn't mean that you're actually alone. There are students on campus, there are other friends that you'll get along the journey, and so those persons are actually important in terms of helping you even saving your money. Because one of the things, the hall that I live on UAE campus, Chancellor Hall, we would generally, well, back when, you know, COVID never caused some of the halls to be closed, but we had days when everyone would group together and we'd cook. So you might end up spending $300 or probably, let's say, $150 to $300 on a meal that you would probably be spending $600, $700 for. Because at the end of the day, with each and every person on the blocks, you know, giving their contributions, at the end of the day, you have enough food to last you probably that day and another day. So it's important for you as students as well to look into that in terms of how you can work with your friends to help you to reduce your spending in terms of food, in terms of other things that you would necessarily use throughout the process. So yeah, it's important to live as a group or as a community because that allows you, you know, to be able to, you know, cut back on some spending in certain places. Another thing I'd say is you need to possibly, you know, get a part-time job. It is hard. I know it is hard balancing school and work, especially in the university setting where reading for your degree is not anybody coming to spoon feed you about that. And so it's hard for you generally to balance that kind of timing. And, you know, especially for students who have labs, like what I was doing in the medical sciences, we have labs, we have other components. It's really hard for you to get that. And I remember from first year was my hardest period budgeting. And I think that was even why the ambassador program was really so great, the VMPage ambassador program, because it kind of helped me to clean up that little mess there. Because, you know, when you're living as a university student on a low budget, it's hard for you then to decide how exactly am I going to spend this money in the best possible way. My mommy wouldn't have all the money that I need at specific points, and so I'd have to sometimes, try to look, all right, how can I wiggle through this space here financially. And so that's one of the things that really I was really going through in first year, and it was proper financial management and proper budgeting. I was able to pull through it. I was able to get my needs out of the way, and the additional things that I needed along the way, I was also able to sort out. So it's important to again assess your needs and understand that even though you're in a new space, there's still room for growth. You can always continue to learn and continue to thrive within the university setting. And so part-time jobs generally help with that. It gives you some level of funding outside of just your parents or whatever other means of funding you have. And part-time job doesn't necessarily mean you have to go and work for someone. It can mean that you can start your own little side hustle. I know a lot of students who would have done great in terms of their business startups. Even on campus, you'd see a lot of persons engaged in probably selling soaps, probably selling hair products, probably selling clothes. All the things you can think of. You have a general campus community, a university space which provides opportunities for entrepreneurship. And so I think that's an area that persons can focus on in terms of whether they want, how they will go about budgeting. So you can put that in as part of your income and get others to help you along the way so that you are able now to actually accomplish or be successful with the business or be successful with your part-time job while also using that funding for your budget. And so that's another important thing. Additionally, it's important for you can also use financial apps that will help you to better budget your money. It will give you financial tips as to how to manage money, what are the things you should be considering and all that, so that at the end of the day, you are able to better assess your situation and really manage your funds. So I think that's also an important part that we can think about. Trying to see that's a good amount of tips. I do hope those tips are good enough, and it will actually help you within your pursuits at the university. It will also actually help you to get better control of your money and also just enjoy your time there, and all the best with all that.
Thanks for those tips, Renaldo.
You're welcome.
Now we're going to jump into some questions from Instagram. And the first question is, how do I manage groceries and my necessities as a newly independent student?
That's a tough one. And as I said earlier while I was presenting, is you have to know how exactly to do a meal plan. So whatever amount of items that you need for a particular day, whatever meals you can do for a day, try to keep that within a limit so that you don't overspend on food and you don't waste food. So you might be able to cook for like a few days. So instead of having to cook every day, you can just cook a particular amount and so you have that to use. So I think that's a good way for persons to be able to actually monitor the food and also to cook together, again, as I said, which will basically help in terms of you using less funds. So those are 2 tips.
Okay. All right, the second question is, how do I balance school and work?
Alright, if you know me, you know that I'm all over the place in terms of I do a lot of things, school-wise and work-wise. But how do I say this now? It's best to try and schedule your days. So allocate your hours. What I had to do is I had to set a rigorous time schedule for myself, so that at the end of the day you're able to still get your work targets done while also getting your school targets done. So, and also you have the weekends that you can use as well. So it's important to just set the times and see how best you can work with it throughout the day. And you might not necessarily be able to get 8 hours of sleep every night, but at the end of the day you still try to allocate time as best as possible.
That boils down to time management.
Yes.
Okay. And the third person says, need some financial help.
Alright, so one of the things I answer to you, or the main thing, you can follow me at Renaldo_Ramsay on Instagram. You can get some financial tips from me. You can just send me a DM, and I have sessions from time to time that we do give financial tips as well. So you can definitely reach out to me.
Okay, perfect. And the final question is, what are some jobs I can get after completing an associate's degree in business administration?
I don't do business administration and medical sciences, but I think that degree actually opens you to a number of jobs. So you can just keep your options open in terms of where you apply. Just look for your passion, and I think you can still fit into that area because it's business administration. So yes, it should be good for you.
Okay, perfect. All right, thanks for being here today, Renaldo. I'm sure the university students will enjoy those tips that you gave them, and they'll find it very beneficial as they go through this year.
Thanks a lot for having me. It's really good being here. I loved it. And yeah, remember to follow me on Instagram, Renaldo Ramsay, Renaldo_Ramsay. All the best, guys.
Our next topic is best practices for back to school, and our guest will be Jevaughn Gordon. Jevaughn currently pursues a degree in integrated marketing communications and international relations. He chose the field of study as it directly aligns with his dream to work in the field of media, government, and communications. He fulfills his passion through his job as a social media manager and digital creator. Currently, he serves on the UWI Guild of Students as the Humanities and Education Representative, the Deputy Vice President of Alumni Relations for UWI students, Today Alumni Tomorrow, and represents the university in a myriad of debating and Model United Nations competitions. He is the perfect person to advise those who are just starting on their university path. Hey Jevaughn, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now let's jump into your best practices as a new university student.
All right, so in university is very hard. So the best practices, they aren't linear, they aren't static. It's an active process that you have to evaluate every time. So for me, these are the stuff that I use. So you probably can implement it and twist it into your own way. So time management, and time management encompasses timetabling, scheduling, and knowing what works for you. So for timetabling is where you structure your courses in a way that it works for you and you allocate the time towards that course so it doesn't take up, you don't put another course too much ahead of another one. Because when you like a course, you're going to study that one more than the one that you don't like. So you allocate time so you efficiently study everything. The timetabling, that aside, scheduling. So I used to be the person that don't like to write down anything, just go with the flow, study what we need to study and do everything on a limb. So when you schedule things now in an order, you can write it down or use an app. I know many persons like the app, but I'm old fashioned, so I use a book. So I write down the things that I have to do, to-do list, something about crossing out boxes, sit right with me. So stuff like that is so important in navigating throughout university in a structured way. And the thing about knowing what works for you is that you're not like everybody else. So while I study in the nights into the early mornings and all-nighters, you don't kill off yourself. If you like the mornings, if you like the afternoons, study that time. Schedule your activities, the extracurriculars in a time that works for you. And another thing is support groups. At Karamak especially, and not only Karamak but university at large, it's so demanding. A degree is so demanding. So you need that accountability group, that accountability partners, so that if you miss a course, you miss a class, you can go to them for help. You can go to them for, assurance, not only with school, but mental health and just support overall, because they need that. So it's important to just reiterating support groups, timetabling, scheduling, and just knowing what works for you. So those are my tips.
Thanks for those tips, Jevaughn. I'm sure the students will find them useful.
I hope so too.
Now we're going to jump into some questions from Instagram.
All right.
Our first question is, how do I balance school and work? I work to pay my tuition and my lecturers treat me as if I'm not interested.
I can totally relate with that question too, because myself, I work while going to school. But even though you have to, as I said, manage your time properly, it can give the impression that you're not interested because work trumps all. But it's important to let your lecturers know your work schedule so that you can work around it and also get your work done. As long as your assignments are finished, as long as you're studying enough so you pass your courses, that's all that matters. So continue to work hard in school and work hard at work, because I know you have to pay your tuition or boarding and all of that, which is also important. So just continue to work hard and put your best in your schoolwork to get your degree and also at work so you can fund it.
Perfect. The second question is, what are your thoughts on online class? So I know you would be in a cool position to speak on that, because you'd have gone through both.
Yes.
So physical classes, and now you're doing online classes.
This is the question of the century. Online classes are rough. are very rough because you're probably in a distracting environment. You're probably used to that face-to-face interaction with the teacher. So now you have to acclimatize yourself to the online space and how you're going to, set a study table and all of that just to prepare yourself for the online class. But overall, in assimilating to an online environment, you just have to have a space dedicated for it. Don't do it in your bed or anywhere that you do leisure stuff. So it's important to create a workspace. If it's able to put up 3 blocks on a table on it and use that as your study area, use that as a productivity space. And there's a sad reality of not only that, but the digital divide and also not having enough resources and being in a home that is distracting. So it's important to let your family know that you have this time for school online. It's important to let people know that you probably need, a tablet or a book. And I know many universities have that grant or have those resources at hand. I know you can go to the library and get a laptop or a tablet to help you. So I know the pressure is hard, but just focus and do the timetable, get a support group and just study hard, and also let people be aware of the situation so that you can just hit it head on and be a success in online school.
All right, and the third question is, why is it so hard?
I'm going to kind of bring the question in a space of the university campus. And many persons, especially freshers, the new students who are coming, they're trying to find their place, they're trying to find their identity, they're trying to see what they like, and this is an exploration space. So many persons, they think that they're going to get lost. I know that there are many clubs and activities on the university campus for you to join. It's okay to not limit yourself like me. I join everything and then, kind of gauge it to what I like, I'm passionate about. So as a new student, you have the time to try everything and find what works for you and passionate about. So join the clubs and activities. If you like public speaking, join debate. If you like marketing, join UMA, or you have a UTech marketing association as well. So join these type of clubs and activities so you can network, because that is also important in university, and so that you can find what you're passionate about and just find your space.
Okay, and the final question is, how do I balance assignments and being involved in extracurricular activities?
Yes, so many persons ask this question, especially if you want to, network and participate in other activities other than academia. So as I said, in my best practice, it's important to timetable, prioritize, you're there for your degree. So don't go to the club if you know you have an assignment due. So it's important to schedule, timetable what you have to do, and also learn the balance between what is important from what is not, in terms of prioritizing schoolwork over these extracurricular activities, while scheduling everything, as I said, and just focus. That's the root.
Okay. Thank you, Jevaughn, for joining us today. I really do appreciate the tips, and I know the new students will also appreciate those best practices that you've shared with them.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope it helped.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and look out for part 2 on October 10. Also, remember, on September 30, we'll be announcing the giveaway winner, so stay tuned for that.